This episode is brought to you by the Pest Rangers. Finding insects in your home can be a real pest. I know I felt that way when I discovered termites living rent-free in my house. But thanks to the team at the Pest Rangers, I'm no longer bugging out over this issue. So if any creepy crawlers are cramping your style, there's no ifs, ands, or bugs about it. You gotta call the Pest Rangers. For more information on how to rid your home from unwanted pests, call the Pest Rangers today at 570-826-1114 or visit them online at thepestrangers.com. This episode is brought to you by Burn, the fitness company behind the Today Show approved Burn board. If I'm being honest, working out can be a real chore, especially as a new dad in desperate need of sleep and cardio. Burn is founded by NEPA native Jimmy T. Martin, and his Burn board offers a low-impact core and cardio experience unlike anything I've done before. They have hundreds of on-demand workouts that are great for beginners, seasoned athletes, and out-of-shape podcast hosts who love supporting small businesses. My wife and I use it pretty frequently throughout the week, and it's honestly a great way to burn a ton of calories without burning a ton of cash. Not to mention, it's a great tool for skiers, runners, wrestlers, and hockey players. Jimmy is offering all On the Stacks listeners 15% off when they use the code STACKS15. Visit theburn.com today to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15 at checkout. Again, that's theburn, THEBRRN.com to get 15% off your purchase with code STACKS15. It's time to get on board today with Burn. This episode is brought to you by Blue Door Financial. Blue Door Financial will help you save money and reduce taxes to live a fuller financial life. To learn more, visit Blue Door Financial online at BLUdoorfinancial.com. That's BLUdoorfinancial.com.
I love the business side of things. That's why I don't even care about the financial part. Just like you, just whatever. If an invoice comes, take care of it. It is what it is. I am so addicted to the hustle of business that even Dave and I were talking about that at lunch, Dave Yeager and I, because he asked me what's your favorite part about it? I'm like, making deals, the business side, having a conversation with somebody and knowing that when the conversation's done, we have a contract, or getting that design approved, and when I get that go ahead from Warner Brothers that the Friday the 13th bag is approved with the Nightmare, it's just like, let's do it. I'm addicted to the hustle of business.
Oh yeah, whoa, look, they can never keep me down, I'm going, and if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.
Hi, I'm Bill Corcoran Jr. This is the On the Stacks podcast. Today, I'm chatting with Mike Thorwart, co-owner of Dead Sled Coffee. What's up, podcast? Episode 125 of the On the Stacks podcast here in the Blue Door studio. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on, Bill.
Yeah, so first things first, we got to be honest. Coffee people are way better than tea people.
It's not even a question. It's not even just coffee people
right?
are. I mean, I think tea people have their place in a life, just not so much in my living room.
Definitely not. Yeah, the Dead Sled Coffee is where it's at.
It is
for sure.
It is.
Yeah, and man, I'm really grateful I discovered your company.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm grateful that I'm here.
Yeah,
and
we got to give a shout out to Dave Yeager, our mutual friend.
Yes.
For introducing us.
Yeah, great guy.
Yeah, so if it wasn't for Dave, I don't think we'd be sitting here right now. I
don't think so whatsoever.
Yeah.
Dave and I were at lunch, and we were just kind of talking about business and maybe how we could help one another in the future and whatnot. So he's like, I got to make the introduction to Bill. And
somehow I came up.
And there it was.
That was it. Yes. All right. So coffee, horror movies,
heavy metal,
rock and roll,
yep.
Rob Zombie,
yep.
Disturbed. You've got some cool things going on, man.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, coffee for you. I mean, how long have you been drinking coffee?
I would say that I really got into coffee about when I was about 16, 17. But it was always the lesser quality stuff. It was just like, I was the type of guy that used to put hot cocoa, just powdered cocoa in the bottom of the coffee cup first.
Okay.
And then fill it with just, whether it be just your average $4 a pound coffee.
Yeah.
Right. And then I really got into coffee when I was in the military, because obviously just a lot of coffee drinking happened there. But as far as craft coffee goes, I got into it right around when Dead Sled started. Because even up until that point, I was a very basic to-go coffee person. You know, I would just buy your normal store brand. Wasn't really into the craft coffee scene. Loved coffee, but I also loved energy drinks or something like that. You know, just
you could go for like anything for a little bit of energy.
Just something that'll make my hair stand a little bit and I can just continue on with my day. Right? So like it was all about the caffeine for me at that point. And then Dead Sled started and I realized what good coffee was. Because I was just such a heavy cream sugar person. And it was like drinking. It was like if Willy Wonka were to come up with its own coffee, you would just be drinking liquid sugar. That's basically what my cups of coffee were.
Used to be.
Yeah, like, do you want a little coffee with your cream and sugar?
Yeah, you had a dash
just like
of
the Beastie
coffee.
Boys said, right?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Drinking like my sugar with coffee and cream, you know? And then finally we were doing this. And I sat down and I had a cup of our original coffee, the first one that we ever came up with. It's called Morning Blend, but we spell morning Mourning.
I get it,
obviously.
Yeah.
I sat there, they're like, just do it. We were sampling, had the coffee. I just stopped, kind of looked. I was like, that's what it's supposed to taste like. And since that day, I completely cut out all sugar and cream from my coffees.
Smart.
Unless it's cold brew, right? Like, I don't mind putting a little bit of creamer in my cold brew here and there just because it just tastes good cold. You know? But
so, I mean, for me, I didn't have coffee until I was like, I think I was like 22 or 23. It's so weird, isn't it?
No, it's not. I mean, it's just, you know, people find different things at different times in their lives. You know?
I guess. I don't know why. I think I always loved the smell of coffee.
Right.
Like growing up.
Love the smell.
But for some reason, like maybe I don't even know when even I had coffee before I was like 22. I might have tried it at some point. It was just like, maybe I just didn't like it then. I don't know.
I've had coffee in my life where I didn't like it. I was just like, yeah, this is pretty gross. Hence why I started adding the cocoa.
Yeah.
And all the sugar.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can even remember being yelled at, like, Michael, you know, like, you know, like my mom, Michael, you know, everybody else calls me Mike, but Michael, that's disgusting.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Like, you know, like when I was a kid, you know, it's almost like eating cereal. After you drank the milk, you could see the sugar at the bottom of the bowl, right? For like certain things. It was just like, that's just the way that it was. It was really gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you also brought these super cool skull cups today.
I love those
by
things.
the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. How cool. I love it.
Yeah, we actually did a contest with those a while ago where, you know, everybody that bought that day or whatever, like you're entered into like win one of these glass skulls. Well, I think I'm just going to have a few made for myself too. Like, well, you know, and that's it. And then I just bought some for myself. So this is what I drink out of.
Yeah.
Often.
Yeah. So, all right. So you brought these today. This is my first taste today.
Correct.
On the stacks. Tell me what I'm drinking.
You are drinking our black walnut cold brew right now. So it's been our black walnut coffee. We have a hot version of it and obviously the cold brew version of it. The hot version of it has actually been our best seller for the entire existence of our company.
I can see why.
It's. I wish I had more to bring. And
Me too. Yeah, I wish you did too. Yeah.
And like I actually would have brought you a bag of it, you know. But
well, you got me enough. I got this little cup here, right? And you gave me another one.
One to bring home,
but
and then I'll be more than happy to give it to you. Yeah.
I promised I'd give that other one to my wife because if
right.
and she knows that I had a coffee person on the podcast, and I didn't bring her home a sample, it wouldn't go over well.
Yeah, probably not.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, man, like there, and kind of you touched on it a little bit, but going back to like you said, like discovering like good coffee. I feel like there's a lot of people out there in the world that don't know like what good coffee is.
Some of my friends included, right? It's just like, but even some of them still like the ones that have been turned on, like some of my closest friends have been turned on to Dead Sled Coffee, obviously. But even they sometimes will stop. They'll stop some, at certain places to get coffee just because you like what you like. Kind of like I said to you earlier, the only way to drink coffee is the way that you like it. I'll never tell somebody, oh, you're a savage, or you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do this because you drink this coffee, you shouldn't drink that coffee. I don't really care. I would prefer that you drink mine.
Yeah, of course.
But I don't care how you drink it. I don't care if you load it with cream and sugar. I don't care if you do it black.
Yeah. So I tried yours. The first sip was black.
Right.
Which I'm like I guess I like a little bit of cream.
Right.
But I could also drink it black. It depends on the coffee.
Right.
But the flavor was amazing.
Thank you.
Like
I appreciate it.
And I'm not being biased because you're on the show. I love it, man.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The hot one, the hot version of it, we call it Draven. That's That's actually the name of the coffee itself. You know, if you were to go on our site and get it, the hot version, I think I would make a bet that you wouldn't need cream in it.
Probably not.
Yeah. It's really good. The hot stuff is it's one of my favorite coffees that we have, you know, but it's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So you're huge into, you know, movies, horror movies.
Yes.
Let's talk about horror movies a little bit.
Okay.
What's up with the horror movies?
Well, ever since I was a little, I mean, I'm talking, I'm not sure if you remember, but going to carnivals as kids. I'm a little older, you know, I'm in my 40s now, but the local carnivals in the area that I grew up in. So for example, you paid like $1 or $3 and you got 3 darts and all the posters that were, and you know, and any poster you hit, that's the poster that you got to take home.
Oh, you got like a movie poster.
Correct. And then everybody was, you know, my sisters, I don't know if they were getting unicorns or My Little Ponies and things like
And
that.
you're getting horror movie.
And I'm like 6 years old and I'm like shooting for the Nightmare on Elm Street posters because it's my favorite franchise of all time.
Okay.
And it's not even close, right? So like, in my opinion, it's the greatest franchise of all time as far as horror goes. And I'm just hanging them on my wall, hitting these little things. My mom's like, I can't believe you like that stuff at such a young age. You know, it's just like,
yeah.
I wasn't necessarily even really allowed to watch it. Like I would sneak watch it after they went to bed. Or I would stay at like a neighbor's house and like the kids, you know, like they were allowed to watch it or something.
Yeah.
So like after the parents went to bed, then we would watch it.
But the sleepover, the
Correct.
neighborhood sleepover.
Yeah, at a very young age, I fell in love with horror movies.
So Nightmare of Elm Street.
Yeah.
Was that like the first for you?
Honestly, the first horror movie, in my opinion, that I've ever watched was The Wizard of Oz. And yes, it's a horror movie.
Is it?
Yeah, that witch is brutal.
She is, isn't she?
She's brutal.
Yeah.
You know, I remember just hiding my face in the couch. She's like, yeah, she's awful. And I really thought that was the first scary movie that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, I was so young, I couldn't watch her. Every time that little red smoke
That was it, huh?
started coming up, like, I'm gone. Like, let me know when she's gone.
Yeah. I don't know what mine was, but I'm just trying to think back of what scarred me as a kid, you know?
Right.
Definitely Chucky.
The first one was fantastic, yeah.
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 I think still to this day, sometimes, like, I'm thinking Chucky's under my bed at home. I don't know why.
I mean, that's one doll that I wouldn't want under my bed.
Right? Am I right about that, though?
You are 100% right.
Yeah.
Right. And I wouldn't want to run into Freddy in my dreams.
Exactly.
Exactly, because I know I'm not waking up because I'm just going to look at him like, I'm not running.
Yeah.
Just take me.
Yeah.
You know.
So how does horror movies and rock and roll clash, or not clash because they're going together, but how do these three things come together?
Well, I could tell you with the horror, like, all 3 owners, right? All of us are just either rock and roll or heavy metal fans. I'm a little younger than the other 2, so like they're more of like the 80s rock, or like their favorite band is Kiss, right? Like my favorite band is Deftones, right? So that's like the age gap. But how it all kind of came together was after we were launched, it was about a year, I guess we were into it, and we kind of had our business model down. We had Vincent Price, Vampira, and Bela Lugosi at that point, like 3 horror icons, you know, that were well before my time even. But it was a good start for us. Then we talked to good old Robert Englund, who played Freddy Krueger. It was during COVID. And we just found out that, you know, he was just such a coffee connoisseur. And we were just such a spooky brand that it just made sense just to continue going with that thought process.
So how did you even meet these people, right? Like how'd that start?
Well, the other owner, his name is also Mike. He actually just
Mike?
Yeah, Mike. Yep, Mike
right.
and Mike. He just straight up reached out to her or to his agent, and she responded within, I think, I want to say like a day or 2. It was
Really?
And was like, you want to know what? People reach out to Robert all of the time for certain things, and we just ignore him half the time.
But coffee.
They're like, coffee. Robert loves coffee. Nobody has ever reached out to us about doing a coffee.
Wow.
Let's hop on a call. So next thing you know, like my fanboy was like a little kind of nervous that day.
Yeah, it's your favorite here.
It's just like, but it was Mike, Robert's agent, Robert, and myself just sitting on a call. And the call was only scheduled for like 20, 30 minutes. And we ended up sitting on there for over an hour. And he was just telling stories. You know, just telling stories of growing up and watching Vampire. He's like, oh, I think he was doing the like the Nightmare on Elm Street voice, you know. He was just talking. He's like, oh, I remember watching Vampira when I was a kid and I had a crush on her. And that turned into like a 30-minute conversation. And then a few months later,
Here he is.
we just had a deal.
On a bag.
And then on a bag.
Wow.
And then if you listen to a lot of those horror movies, most of their soundtracks are metal and rock and roll. And it's just one big world
They all kind of go together.
Absolutely.
So like this whole like rock and roll and horror film, like those industries are like super niche.
They are.
Right?
They are.
Have you been like involved in these types of like industries like prior to all these collaborations?
Not really. So,
but it's such a tight-knit community, I feel like.
It really is, especially the horror
fans.
Community.
Right?
So the horror community is one of the most tight groups I have ever seen in my entire life. You go to any convention, let's just say, that we go and sell coffee at, you never see anybody that's angry. You never see anybody fighting. You never hear political debates. Even at night, like when the conventions are over and everybody's sitting in the lobby and drinking beers or eating or whatever, you never hear anything negative. You just hear, oh, you remember when this happened in this movie, or this is coming out, or this is coming out. It's fantastic. And it's just great to be involved. And that was actually the culture that we wanted to create with Dead Sled anyways. It was just all accepting. We don't care. I don't want to sit there and know who you voted for, because I honestly, truly don't care. But I do want it. But I do want to know what your favorite horror movie is and who your favorite band is.
I love it.
I would much rather know that.
So speaking of that, I actually read on your website, and it says, Dead Sled Coffee strives to create a culture of acceptance and respect, no matter what your level of coffee knowledge is.
Correct.
So what does that mean?
That means that I don't care if you don't even know what a coffee bean looks like, all the way up to the snobbiest of the snobby. I'm a coffee snob now. Like, it's
right.
just, I am proud to say that, like,
you're officially a coffee snob.
Correct. I put my little pinky in the air sometimes when I drink it. It's just like, it has to be a certain level of coffee now, or else I just won't even drink it. It's just, nah, I'm good. Just give me water,
Yeah.
Or like, I'd much rather like grab like a Monster Energy sometimes over the coffee that you're offering.
Than like a shitty break room coffee.
Absolutely. Because I can just taste the difference now. And I don't want to put a bunch of cream and sugar in my coffee for me to be able to drink it. That's why I always say that a certain company that I'm not going to say, they're in the business of selling milk, because you need so much milk for it to actually taste halfway decent.
Yeah,
it's just,
yeah.
But so that's like what we mean. So I don't care if you know nothing about coffee. I don't care if you know everything about coffee. The whole point is that we can all sit down together as friends, as whatever, and just enjoy a good cup of coffee with one another. I don't care if it's black. I don't care if you put sugar in yours. That's it.
Just like we're doing now.
It's just like we're doing now. This is exactly what we want. We just want to have a good conversation over good coffee. But I don't care if you know it's good or not. I just want you to enjoy it and enjoy the, conversation that
whether you
we're
put the pinky
having.
up or not.
Whether you put the pinky up or not, I don't care. But I'm putting mine up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all right. Yeah. So all right. So about the coffee, like, so you guys have only been in business like a few years, but your brands, like, you guys have really grown
exponentially, especially over the past like 2 years. So the first 2 years, obviously that's the growing stage. That's we were shipping out of our houses. I remember during COVID, I still had a full-time job. We moved the whole shipping operation to my house. So I'm waking up, I'm shipping coffee. Once I'm done shipping coffee, whatever the day's going on. But even when I was still working, and before and after COVID layoff, like, I was still working all day, shipping at night, working all day, shipping at night, working all day, shipping at night.
All right. So you had a regular, 9 to 5 job.
I did.
What were you doing?
I was actually an IT manager, and for a company that owns a chain of retail stores.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did you do that for?
Just over 7 years when I quit.
Okay.
Yeah, when I left.
So like, what was the decision when you finally decided, like, I'm going full in, raising my pinky on coffee?
Honestly, it was because at that point in time, we were using a pick pack company to do all, because we were shipping so many packages. So like, I just couldn't do it from my house anymore, because my house just isn't a warehouse.
How many were you shipping?
I mean, once Rob and everybody came along, it was like, me personally, it was a lot. Like, it was a few hundred packages, like every couple days.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. But then when Rob and everybody came along, you're talking a lot.
A lot more coffee bags.
A lot more coffee bags.
Out of Mike's house.
Correct. So, like, we signed the deal with Kiss. We signed a deal with a few other bands, and then we just moved to this pick packing company because it just made sense. But once we got big enough and the pick pack company didn't make sense anymore for us as a company, I'm like, well, guys, let me lay out the business plan for you. If I just get this, we're actually saving money if I just leave and do it full time. And we need somebody at that point to pay 24/7 attention to it, because you just can't half-ass it anymore. You can't part-time it. When you're becoming as big as you are and have the followers that you have, it's just somebody needs to pay 24/7 attention to it. And the one partner, he's not quitting his job. It's a great job. And it just made sense for me to leave. And it was the scariest thing. It's still the scariest thing that I've ever had to do in my entire life. And I did it back in March of this year, and I haven't looked back since.
So this is like very recent.
It's very, very recent. I want to say like March 15th. I gave my 2 weeks notice. It was around there.
Yeah.
And that was it. And we moved into office space in the Accelerator building down in Wilkes-Barre. Much love to like Chris Jones and Josh Balls and John Phillips and all those guys down there, because without them, they like welcome me with open arms down there, and I owe a lot to them. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. So when you first started at the company, like what were you doing? Like you met the other two co-owners. All right. Like what did you start doing like when you first started with the company?
So I was already friends with Mike and Diana. So they're the other two owners. They're actually husband and wife. I knew them very well. We were already very close friends at that point, basically family. And Diana had this idea to launch this company. She wanted to launch this coffee company, and obviously a new company needs a website. It just so happens that I could do that. So they reached out to me to do the website. Building a website turned into running the social media. Running the social media turned up to constantly updating the website, et cetera, et cetera. And me doing it for free turned into a small percentage of the ownership. And then as we grew, my ownership grew. And then here we are. But I wasn't even an owner at first. I was just the friend that offered to buy the website.
So you built the website for free?
To build it. Yeah. Build it. Yeah.
So you just offered to do it for free?
Correct.
Right? Just as a friend?
As a friend.
Why?
Because he's my friend.
And it was just like, yo, guys, I'll just help you out, and
100%.
I'll just do this for you.
Mike even said, he's like, no. He's like, we'll definitely pay for it. I'm like, no. Like, you're my friend. Like, that's what like, I will build this website for you for nothing and go from there. But it turned into...
Yeah, look what it turned into.
Maintaining the site, and then it turned into other things, and then that turned into ownership, and then it turned into me controlling the social media.
I love that concept, though, by the way, of just doing something for free as a friend.
That's it.
Or even if you're not friends, like there's something about that concept that I feel like a lot of people really undervalue.
Yeah.
Just like we'll say like in the business world, right? Like even if you're not friends, right? Like if you let's just say like you're a younger kid, right? Or don't have much experience doing whatever it is, and you offer to a company like your friends. Let's just say you weren't even friends with them.
Right.
Right? And you just said, hey guys, I'll make a website for you. And they're like, yeah, we need a website. I'll do it for free. And of course, who's going to turn that down? Right? As long as you kind of know what you're doing.
Right.
Right? And obviously you did. But like, look what it turned into. And I feel like so many people like frown upon doing free work. I'm like a fan of it.
Yeah.
In certain instances, maybe not all.
Right.
Of course, you're not going to give away, a $50,000 website, but for a company that's starting out, like, why the hell not?
And that's a huge expense for any company too. Like, especially if you're starting out and you don't have a lot of funds to even start that company. It's just a basic little investment for them at first, because who knows? They obviously had no idea 4 years ago what they were getting into or what it was going to turn into.
Yeah, no one knew, right?
No one knew. Even when I built the website, I didn't know what I was getting into. I was just like, yeah, like I'll do this. I'll throw this together. I'll put some products up there for you. And good luck. Someone else was running the social media at that point. And that's really all that I had to do with it was that website. Then I'll never forget the day that Mike invited me down to his place. We were hanging out like we always do. And he had the talk with me. And he's just like, hey, I'm going to thank you for everything you did. Here's X percentage of ownership. Now, that's obviously grown throughout the years for other reasons. But it was fantastic. But, like, I have no issues. Like, I would never... People have done stuff like that for me. And they've helped me. So why would I ever, especially a close friend like that, I would never, ever, ever break your bank just to build you a website.
Yeah.
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 It's not cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's such a cool story.
Yeah.
Like, just the fact that, you started and all you did was say, yeah, I'll just build you a website.
Yeah.
And look where you're at. You're on the phone with Rob Zombie.
Yeah. No, it's wild. Like, he's very involved with his coffee, emailing back and forth. That was another one. Mike reached out to his agency, his manager, and Rob immediately got involved. The second that the deal was done, we were provided with some pictures and some artwork from somebody else that like is kind of like associated with his brand. And Rob was just like, yeah, no, like we're not using that stuff at all. And then he just emailed all this stuff. And every now and again, he'll shoot an email personally, whatever, whether he needs coffee or how he wants something to look. He's very involved. And that's I think that's also a big reason why it's such a successful brand. It's such a successful coffee, because he loves it, because he enjoys it. He's a thrill to work with. You know, it's awesome.
I'm so fascinated by the fact that like you have all these musicians and horror movies, and like you like literally work that closely with some of these people.
Correct. Yeah. So like he's one of my favorites to work with. Mike's worked with him a little more than I have. You know, like Mike's been out of town, and then I'll deal with those emails here and there. But my favorite that I've worked with personally is Dee Snider. That was a Twitter. Like that's how that deal happened in 2 hours
On Twitter. What happened?
Insanity. So he does a show with Jamie Jasta, who's from Hatebreed, and they were tweeting back and forth about coffee. They're pals, and I chimed in from the Dead Sled account, just like, you know, just saying, hey, we're fans, because we're all Dee Snider fans.
Okay.
And he did the movie Strangeland. He was in Twisted Sister, obviously, and I just sent a tweet out, like, hey, I'm like, you should, speaking of coffee, I just kind of put the side eyes, right? So, you know.
Yeah, hey, we're here.
We're right here. And within 10 minutes, I had a DM from Dee.
No way.
And Dee and I just shot the shit back and forth for like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes maybe. And he's like, what's your email? I shot him my email. And within 45 minutes, I had an email from his agent CCing myself and Dee. And then the deal was done. It was signed the very next day.
That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. And he's one of the most personable persons you will ever speak with in your entire life. One of the nicest people ever. And he's one that gets involved too. Like he'll just shoot me a message, just be like, hey, I think we should do this. I think we should do that. I love coffee. Like he had very specific stipulations to work with him. And it wasn't any kind of like ego thing. It was just like, I love coffee from Guatemala, so I will not do a coffee unless it's from Guatemala.
Right.
Oh, yes, sir.
Sure.
Whatever you want to do.
That's where we'll get it from.
Yeah, and these things turn into such relationships, and they always turn out to be the absolute best coffees, the best-selling coffees, the best tasting coffees. And it's just fun. Like it's not a gimmick. A lot of people will comment and say
about your brand.
Oh, absolutely. Really? Oh, look at this gimmick. Oh, you're charging $20 for a bag of coffee. It's just shitty coffee in a cool bag. And really, it's like a lot of people don't know the backstory. You know, most are not like that. You know, we have a lot of very loyal customers, a lot of new customers, but a lot of people don't know that the coffee they're tasting went through taste testing. Like Dee wanted, 5 different roast levels
just before they decided
just to sit down and sample them. I sent like 5 pounds of coffee, all different roast levels. And he took about maybe a month to taste test them all. He's like, I don't know. I'm not done yet. I got to taste this one again.
Yeah.
And like, I love that stuff. It's just like, there's no impatience on my part at all. It's just, that's fine. When you're ready, we are here. So, I want you to enjoy the coffee. I want you to enjoy the product that you're selling. And then once he picks it, we have the bag mocked up. We roast the coffee and we start selling it. I mean, it is craft coffee. This industry is no different than craft beer. It really isn't. It's the same thing for coffee drinkers. It's high quality coffee. All of our coffee is top 20% in the world.
Okay.
So
where do you source it from?
It depends on the farm. So we use a roasting facility down in Jersey. And he actually does all of our sourcing for us. So what happens is Rob, for example, he is 100% vegan. I mean, all coffee is vegan. When people ask, like, is coffee vegan? I'm like, well, it's a plant. Yeah. It's vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah, right.
But, Rob was very specific. He's like, I want USDA certified organic coffee. Has to be vegan. He was very specific about it being organic and ethically sourced. So that's what we did.
You got to appreciate that stuff.
I appreciate it.
The fact that he cares about it that much.
He 100% did. And then we just had our guy. He sourced like 5 or 6 different organic coffees, sent all the samples. He tried them, picked the one he liked, and there you go.
Bag it up.
Bag it up.
That's crazy.
Bag it up and then sell a ton of coffee. You know?
Yeah, wow. So like so a lot of this stuff for you guys you just built relationships, like you said, kind of just like through a tweet from social media, just spark conversations.
That's it. And like also like with Rob, I know in the past there's a very little footprint of it left, but like he did a coffee years ago, like before we even existed. He worked with another company. I just don't think that it worked well. I'm not sure why. It's none of my business why, but he loved the fact that we had Bela Lugosi, Vampira, Kiss. You know, we had Kiss at that point. It's having these other bands that make it intriguing for other people to work with us. Because there's certain people that wouldn't work with us in the beginning. You know, we were reaching out to some big names in the first year or so. And in the back of their minds, like, yeah, who are you? You know, like, we're not giving you the time of day. You know, you couldn't handle our volume or whatever. But when Rob sees somebody that you work with, like Kiss, oh, Kiss works with them. They must be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys are kind of like legit.
Yeah, correct.
You know?
Correct.
So how did that feel when you were first starting this out and getting a lot of those no's? Like, what did that feel like?
It wasn't bad because it was totally you know, it just is what it is. You know, it's just, you know, when you're only a year old and you're reaching out to, you know, like Ghost, the band Ghost, who's just a monster, you know, especially when it comes to selling things. And they're just like, yeah, it's not our thing. Or you reach out to someone and they do a coffee with somebody else and it's just like,
bastards.
I guess so. You know, it just is what it is. But like, you know, but it motivates you to keep pushing and to keep trying. And then when we got Robert Englund, he's a monster. And, you know, he's a horror icon. He's the horror icon, in my opinion. They're like, oh, now they're working with Robert. Now they're working with this person. Now they're working with that band. I guess they're, you know,
legit. Yeah. That's so cool, man.
Yeah.
Like in such a short amount of time, you guys like really grew this thing and you got all these different collaborations like on board. Like it's highly impressive.
Yeah. 4 years.
4 years.
4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It took us 4 years which I think is a very short amount of time.
It is a very short amount of time.
You know, to grow the way that we did, you know, to 50 bags of coffee a month to, you know, 50 in a few hours, you know, every day. You know, it was incredible to be a part of. And I'll always be grateful for that call to helping them build a website. And that's where it started.
All with a damn website.
All with that damn website.
That's crazy.
Grateful for that skill.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, from the prior life.
Yeah, from a prior life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, so what all do you do now at the company?
I guess if I were to have a title, you know, I just say that I'm a co-owner to people, but like if I were to give myself a title on paper, it would be COO. Like I'm 100% the operations officer, but if something happens in the company, it's me. Like it's just, unless it's, you know, we have somebody that pays the bills, one of the owner does, that's what she does, but everything else, I do it. Like all the way from customer service to packing the orders, to social media, to the marketing, to the buying, to operations, to dealing with all the licensees. That's it.
It's all you.
It's all me.
Hands on.
Wow.
So you're really in the trenches still.
Yeah. It's the only way that I would want it to be perfectly honest with you. I love the business side of things. That's why I don't even care about the financial part. Just like you, just whatever. If an invoice comes, take care of it. It is what it is. I am so addicted to the hustle of business that, like, even Dave and I were talking about that at lunch, Dave Yeager and I, because like he asked me, like, what's your favorite part about it? I'm like, making deals, the business side, having a conversation with somebody and knowing that when the conversation's done, we have a contract, or, getting that design approved. And, when I get that go ahead from Warner Brothers that the Friday the 13th bag is approved, or the Nightmare, it's just like, let's do it. I'm addicted to the hustle of business.
I love that.
Yeah. Addicted
to the hustle of business.
I really am.
I just love that. I love that statement.
Yeah.
Like, because you're really doing the work.
Yeah.
Like, all of it.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Start to finish.
So, all right. So, Warner Brothers. Like, what else? You guys probably have a few things in the pipeline, I'm guessing, right? You probably have a couple other things going on. Like, what's new with you guys as a company?
So we did sign the 2-year Warner Brothers deal, so that was for Friday the 13th, which we haven't launched yet. That design is in the approval queue now with them, right? So we have to wait for them to say, okay, you're good. Then you got to print the samples. It's kind of a pretty long process sometimes. Each change takes about 12 business days for them to review. So you have to think, if there's like 3 changes at 3 separate times, 30 business days is really like 45 days, right? So it can take time. So you got Friday the 13th. We already launched It Chapter 2 Coffee. We're working on It Chapter 1. We actually just signed a deal recently. We got into the gaming industry with Dead by Daylight.
Okay.
So, which was funny is they actually reached out to us. That wasn't even something that we had. Like, we kind of wanted to get into the gaming industry. We just didn't know how. We talked about maybe sponsoring Twitch players, like, we're not sure, but it's like, is it really going to work? Like, let's just move on and we'll maybe come back to it at some point in time.
So you kind of had this idea to get into that industry.
We just didn't know how to, right?
Okay.
We wanted to hit the gaming center. Next thing you know, I come into work in the morning and then there's an email from their director of like marketing and branding sitting in my inbox.
That's wild.
He's like, hey, I'm this person. I work for the parent company, that owns Dead by, Daylight. It's the most popular horror game in the world. Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there you go. Him and I hopped on a Zoom for about 45 minutes. I want to say it was might have been that day, might have been the next day, but it was that same week. And 2 weeks later, the deal's done.
Wow.
And now we're, and that'll launch by the end of the year. But what's funny is that you brought up tea, is that we're actually doing a tea with them.
Are you?
Yep.
You're doing the tea.
We actually had a tea.
Did you?
We did. Yeah. We like, people wanted tea, and we wanted to give them an opportunity.
Yeah.
I don't drink tea. Like, if you see me drinking tea, it's like a twisted tea.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Not even those.
Yeah.
But it's like a brisk from like
brisk. The classic brisk.
Like a can of brisk.
Who doesn't enjoy a brisk?
That's the tea that I drink. Not that there's anything wrong with tea. It's just
Yeah. Coffee people are cooler.
Way cooler.
Yeah.
Sorry,
guys.
But
yeah.
But yeah, we're doing a tea and a coffee with them because they wanted to do both. And when it comes to working with working with the people that we work with, we want to make sure they're happy. I'll never really tell them no, but I'm not scared telling them no. So like, if they have an idea and it's just like, yeah, that doesn't work, we've tried it, not a good idea, I haven't run into anybody yet that's like, yeah, well, we want to do it, so we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
But they like normally listen to us, but yeah, so that's what's coming out. I guess I can just say it. So just because it just is what it is. So the one thing of Warner Brothers that we signed that we haven't announced to the world yet, and actually everybody's finding out now for the first time. So those of you who are listening to this podcast, nobody is still going to know until you listen to it. So
I love it. All right, so big major announcement.
Yeah, it's a big major announcement. So we will be the official coffee for House of the Dragon and Game of Thrones. And
wild.
They actually pitched us on the idea while we were pitching them to get their horror licenses.
Really?
100%.
Wait, so let's back up. How did this happen?
Well, first off, we got the Warner Brothers deal because I almost got sued for the Robert Englund bag. We got a cease and desist for the design of the Robert Englund bag about a day or two before we were actually going to launch the coffee.
So this is before you and Rob were buddies.
Yeah,
right?
we were kind of already buddies, business associates, I guess, at that point, right?
Okay.
The design was out to the world. Anders Ericsson, I love him. He did the artwork for us, but he put the Freddy glove on Robert. So if you see the bag, he's now just holding.
Is this the one?
Well, yeah, that's what we had to change the bag too.
Okay, so this is the altered version.
So the original one, he had the Freddy Krueger glove on, holding the cup of coffee.
Gotcha, which was a no-no, I guess.
Yeah,
according to the big guys.
Correct, but we were reaching out to people for probably, I don't know, like, I don't want to exaggerate, but probably 2 months.
Yeah, so you're trying to do the right.
Trying to do the right thing.
You're
like,
trying to get the rights.
Right. And like we were reaching, well, not even just trying to get the rights. We were just asking them if we can use this.
Okay.
Because Robert was
you didn't even know.
he could.
Oh, and he's saying, yeah, like, it's my glove, man.
Yeah, he goes, sorry.
Use it.
He's like, I don't see the problem with using the glove. He uses the Freddy voice. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's hilarious. We're like, yeah, sure, fine. That's fine. So Robert's agent, like 3-4 days before the launch, I guess, sent the image to Warner Brothers New Line Cinema. And like a day before the launch, they finally got back and they emailed me and they're like, yeah, you can't be using that. I hope you didn't launch it yet. I hope it's not for sale. This is a cease and desist. Like, not only do you have to remove the glove, you can't even use the colors that you're using for the sweater pattern. I'm just like, uh-oh.
How convenient. The day before.
Correct. So the first call was to the artist. Hey, we got to get rid of the glove. Let's figure it out. And he was really good about it. About a day later, about 12 hours later, we, had that new, called our graphics guy. Hey, we got to like dim the colors of the bag because it can't be those 2 colors that we used.
Can't be the Freddy colors.
It's copywritten. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe.
That's crazy.
The stripes.
I guess it's so well known.
It's like the association. They explained it to me that it was the association with Robert Englund and the sweater that made it a copywritten
kind of like the orange with Reese's, because I think it's the same situation.
It's the same situation with them.
You can't use that orange probably with a product.
It very well might be the same thing, yeah, and it was wild. But they were very nice. She wasn't angry with me like this lawyer for Warner Brothers or whomever. Like, and the thing is, like, she was a top person because it was like senior vice president of legal for like New Line Cinema, and I'm just like, just this little nobody that's like laid off for COVID. You know what I mean? I'm just like,
yeah.
I'm
like, wait, what's actually happening?
Like, what's happening right now? Am I getting sued from Warner Brothers? Are we being sued?
This is great.
Like, we're gonna go out of business. You know?
Yeah.
Well, as I had her on the phone, they saw the new artwork. They were fine with it. And then I asked, well, while you're here on the phone, let me ask you a question. How do we get the license rights to Nightmare on Elm Street? Because that was the only thing in our mind. And they sent me to the right people. And 2 years later, we had a Warner Brothers deal. But that first call with Warner Brothers, we mentioned Nightmare on Elm Street. We ended up doing a couple other horror movies along with it, but they pitched us on the phone. They're like, so we've been trying to get into the coffee business for a while, and we would like to get into the business with Game of Thrones, and we think you guys would be perfect for us. Like, what do you think? I was speechless, like I was there, right?
Yeah,
like,
you didn't know how to. Yeah, you didn't know how to say yes so too fast. You're like, yes.
Right. Like I fumbled my words a little bit,
yeah,
like
just like I did.
I'm just like, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have to talk to the team first, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. We're probably not going to say no to Game of Thrones.
Tentatively pencil us in.
Right.
Game
Correct?
of Thrones. Yeah.
And then like 2 years later, we had that deal done. And we just haven't launched that yet. So like there's really no design. I mean, there's a little bit of designing going on, but there's like a certain timetable. A lot of the other people, they did a huge pre-order like back in June for their House of the Dragon stuff. We didn't want to do that. We kind of just wanted to make it available, not make people wait for months on end for their stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that's all coming. That's all coming this fall and this winter. And we're working on some other stuff too.
Like they say, winter is coming, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan. That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So what is this? What is this? What is that? This new partnership? Like, what does that mean for you guys as a company?
Well, we're hoping that it will lead to like big box stores, right? It's going to lead to like Target, right? Because it's tough to get into little grocery stores, not even little grocery stores, because we do have some wholesale accounts, but it's like they're very niche retail locations. It's very like, it's like it's oddity shops or it's horror museums out in Vegas that we're in, places like that, right? But to get into the bigger grocers, they don't want Freddy Krueger on the bags. They don't want this. They don't want that. And I totally get it. So like that, at that point, Target and Walmart and things like that, they are going to be your target big box stores. So that's our goal over the next 12 months is to get into those big stores like that, because those are the types of people that sell those types of items versus say like a Price Chopper that isn't going to sell it Chapter 2 coffee.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right. It's going to scare everybody in the aisle. Right? I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure of the thinking of the reasoning, but it just is what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Cool. So you guys have some big goals lined up here,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah. Big goals in like bottle and cold brew, right? So like that'll be our goal for like the Price Choppers and the Wises.
Like
right?
what we're drinking.
Is like what you're drinking, but finding somebody that will brew it and bottle, you know, almost like not like a co-packer type thing, but you know, like, because there's a lot of licensing. You have to have certain facilities to do it. And, you know, we just don't have that ability to do that. We just don't have the space, but there are people that will do it for you that already have that type of space.
Yeah. So are you already kind of in talks with some people to help you with this? Or are you still looking for people to help?
I've reached out to a couple different places. I haven't really heard much. I actually had a meeting with one of them. I'm not gonna say who, and they canceled on me.
Oh man, we got to get you linked up here.
Like I was actually driving to the place, and like I got the text like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to cancel." You know what I mean?
No.
But it's yeah, like I would love to work with like a co-packer somehow. Like there's just so many local breweries I feel too that like may be able to do something like that. You know, and maybe that's the goal. I don't know. You know, one step at a time.
Yeah. So are you trying to find somebody like in the NEPA area?
I would love to find somebody in the NEPA area. I think just because I can closely work with them, I can come over basically anytime that I want. Don't have to pay for shipping.
Yeah,
to like get the product to like a warehouse, right? Like
to move
I
a lot
just
of
go
weight.
pick it up, or you can just bring it to me, like one or the other. So yeah, I mean, because now that I'm here and now that we have moved locally, I've lived in the area for a while, but you know, we just basically opened up HQ locally back in March. You know, I would love to get more intertwined locally and work with more local people and make sure that they're getting business as well, and not, you know.
Yeah. Well, if you need anyone to like come taste test or anything, like
you got it. You're the first that's invited.
I'm gonna be there.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm not, I'm gonna be disappointed. I gotta come test it.
You're my first text.
Right, I love it.
Deal.
I mean, this thing's already gone. You know, I mean, it's some solid stuff, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, no, it's very good. We're very proud of our product. And we try to push it to, you know, like it's not even like it's not even an annoying push to this day. She's like, come on, like just try it. Like you're not gonna, you know.
It kind of sells itself.
It does. It really does. But then, you know, once someone tastes it, that's why I always say try it black first. You may not need creamer. You know, like when we do these shows and these big events, we're selling the cold brew like by the cup to people. I'll ask, well, you know, you want creamer or sugar? It's over there. You know, I'm like, but I recommend try it on its own first.
Do people take you up on it?
I would say about 65% end up not putting cream or sugar in their coffees.
Okay, so they'll try it black, and then they're like, yeah, this is good as is.
100%. Especially when it's like,
that's a lot.
That's a lot. Especially when it's a really strong Draven batch and like the black walnut comes out, right?
Yeah.
So this didn't steep quite as long as I wanted it to do. It's just because I had to bottle it, I had to get it bottled. I had to get.
You were in a hurry to
go.
come here, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to get it cold. I didn't want to show up with like warm coffee. It's like, man, I could have just made a pot of coffee. You know, I'm not gonna bring you warm coffee.
I appreciate it.
You know,
yeah.
you know, like warm cold brew.
Yeah,
here.
warm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Sorry, I just didn't have time.
Yeah, we don't want to water it down with ice.
If it steeps a little longer, you really get that black walnut taste, and it's delicious.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, I mean, you know, you talked a little bit about, you know, getting this cold brew out there, but like, so are you trying to? How is it going to be? How's it going to be bottled? I guess that's my question.
I would prefer cans over bottles, just for the fact that honestly, a can's a little less fragile. You know, it's just like I'm always worried about shipping, right? I'm always worried about somebody ordering a 4-pack of bottles and have them showing up crushed.
Yeah.
It's just, and you see most canned cold brews, it's in the plastic bottles or it's in cans, and I think it's just normally pretty much the same thing for all coffees. You know, I would rather see a can or a plastic bottle over a bottle.
Yeah. I also need some in my mini fridge once it's ready here in the studio, man.
Yeah, well, I'll just send you a case, like a case a month. You know.
Yeah. I'll be all hopped up. I mean, I'm probably gonna be up all night now.
I know. That's like one thing about our cold brew. It's very strong. Like I know it because like I can like feel myself talking a little faster. Like my forehead's getting a little sweaty.
Me too. Yeah.
I'm getting like caffeinated. You know.
Yeah.
But
I feel it.
Yeah, but like our cold brew, people always ask like, what's the most caffeinated coffee that you have? It's 100% our cold brew. There's like no question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how often do you as they say, get high on your own supply.
Every single day for the most part.
What's your coffee routine like?
During the summer, I tend to drink more cold brew. I very rarely drink hot coffee during the summer. But if I do, it's on a weekend and I make espresso. I am an espresso snob.
Fiend.
I was going to say another word, but I'll just say snob, right? It's just that's my favorite. I used to make pots of coffee. That's fine. Every now and again, I'll like get in the mood for like a pot of coffee, just so I can sip a full cup. But to me, there's just nothing like a couple shots of espresso in my little espresso cup in the morning. Like, it's just like I have like a whole thing.
Finger up.
Oh,
God, with a tiny cup.
There is no doubt with the tiny little espresso cup. I grind my own beans. I can't tell you the last time I had a ground, actual a bag of ground coffee,
like
in
super
my house.
fresh.
Yeah, it's just always beans. And we're a roast to order company anyway. So like we'll never roast like 500 bags of coffee and just let it sit on the shelf. So like sometimes on our site, like people will see the message that comes up. This coffee is currently roasting. If you choose to purchase it, your order may be delayed
once it's ready
by X.
Okay, because
time.
You're selling it as fresh as it can
As
be.
fresh as
It's not
possible.
going to sit in a warehouse.
Correct. I would rather that bag of coffee go stale in your house than you buy a stale bag of coffee
Yeah,
from
and
us.
then you're going to get it and be like, oh, their coffee sucks.
It's gross,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So like every bag of coffee that you get, just know that it was probably roasted 7 to 14 days prior to you, at max. 7 to 14 days prior to you purchasing it.
Can't get any fresher than that.
No, you really can't.
Yeah.
The flavored stuff's a little longer because it takes a little longer to roast the flavored stuff. So like, and unless you buy it the day after it shows up, the flavor stuff's a little longer.
Yeah.
But just because I can't, you got to flavor coffee. It just takes a little time.
And I'm like a cold brew all year long type guy.
I will sometimes, but I love hot coffee in the fall and the winter. I love it.
I don't know what it is. I used to be like that too.
Yeah.
But like, dude, like I literally drink just cold iced coffees, espresso, like everything all year round. I just drink iced.
There's nothing wrong with that. I love cold brew. I love iced coffee, but to me, there's nothing better than say like October 15th. I'm going to like paint a picture for you, right? It's like,
go ahead. Are you ready?
It's like,
ready?
It's like October 10th, October 15th. All you need no more than a hoodie, jeans, walk outside and you can just smell the leaves or, like the wet leaves from fall. There's just nothing better than a steaming hot cup of coffee in the middle of spooky season, in the middle of October. It's perfection to me.
Yeah, it's spooky season. That's right.
Yeah.
You're right though. There is nothing better than that fall vibe.
Yeah. It's just like, walking to my vehicle, getting in, sipping, getting out. It's just, I don't know, even on a road trip, if I stop at a coffee shop and get a coffee to go in the middle of the fall, it's so hard to explain.
There's nothing like it.
There's just nothing like it.
Yeah.
There really isn't, like even weather where I can wear shorts and a hoodie, right?
Yeah.
It's just that weird September,
Dude,
like
I love that.
September
That's
vibe.
my favorite.
Yeah. Like I love wearing a long sleeve tee and shorts.
Yep.
Like it's my favorite.
Yeah, I am the same way. I used to, I think as I got a little older, I don't know, for some reason I became more of a fall, just hoodie weather is just the best.
It is. Like, look, I absolutely adore the summer. Right, I love going out on the lake. I love the water. Now, granted, the past few days has been a little bit like Florida weather, and I'm not a fan.
Yeah, a little hot.
That's a little too much for me. But I love mid-September through like the end of October. It's the best.
Yeah.
But then in NEPA, you never know what's happening.
Yeah, you don't know. Unpredictable.
It's weird here. Normally we're okay through October, but come like November, December, it's either going to be brutal or it's not going to get bad until like February. Like it's just
sometimes we skip seasons.
Sometimes you skip season. Like I've like lived in the area now for a little over a decade. I think I've experienced 3 springs in 10, in like 12 years.
Yeah, because it just skips right over.
It'll be snowing in April or just brutally cold in April, and then 2 weeks later it's 80. It's just like,
it's like, what happened?
Like, what's happening here in this area? Like, what's wrong with this place? It's just, nothing obviously, but just the weather's really strange. It goes from like winter to summer here in most of my experiences.
Yeah. There are some weird things like that happen. Like, it's odd. but hey, I'm here for the fall.
It's it. I love
I'm
the
ready
fall.
for it, man.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I am ready.
You?
I am. It's soon. Like it's
I know. It's right around the corner, man.
I can't believe August is almost halfway over.
Yeah.
And I mean, before you know, it's going to be high 75, then a high of 71, then a high of 65, and I'm going to be sitting there rubbing my hands together, getting ready to make hot cups of coffee, and
throw on that hoodie
and throw on that hoodie and go do haunted houses.
Get spooked.
Get spooked.
I'm ready to be spooked.
Yeah. That might be our slogan for Halloween. Get spooked.
Get spooked. I love it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. All right. Well, how can our listeners connect with you guys online?
So as far as we go, you can just go to deadsledcoffee.com, and all of our social media is out there. But like IG, we're really interactive, and we prefer that you interact with us. Like it's one thing liking a picture, but it's another thing to like go back and forth with us. Like, I love it. And like, that's me you're talking to. So just so everybody knows, like, it's not some random company that's me from my phone at 8:30 at night.
Yeah. So it's not some like random intern for some big company that like doesn't even respond to comments.
It's really not. It's
you.
It's me.
It's legitimately you.
So like if you like DM us or whatever, that's me you're talking to. So we're very, 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 very personable, and we would rather
have a conversation.
100%.
That's kind of how some of your brand was built, just send in the tweet.
Casual conversation over really good freaking coffee.
Over really good freaking coffee.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, this was great.
Thank you. Yeah, it was.
I'm glad, like I said, I'm so glad that Dave Yeager connected us. And
I know. It's awesome. I think we're actually having lunch again on Friday. So,
are you?
So
I probably owe you guys both lunch now at this point. Well, dude, again, this is super cool. I'm super excited for you for all the success you're having and some of the cool things you guys have coming up. And I wish you guys the best of luck. And don't forget about me when you guys are bottling or canning. I want to come taste test.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it. You have my word. My word is as good as my bond. So my word is my bond is what they say.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And it's on record here. Everyone heard it.
It's on record. All of you heard it. This is my promise.
Yep.
Throw it in my face if I don't do it.
If not, I'll leave you nasty comments.
Yeah, 100%. Terrible reviews.
Hate mail.
Hate mail. Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah.
Come to the office. Pick it.
All right. Mike Thorwart on the Stacks podcast in the Blue Door Studio. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
If you want to see more On the Stacks content, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/onthestackspodcast or search the hashtag OnTheStacks on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. We'll catch you next time on The Stacks.